Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you how you can make some cakes at home. Even if you never baked before, you're gonna be able to make these recipes. So to start this video, I'm gonna be starting with my vanilla cake recipe. So in the bowl, I already have cake butter, sugar, and oil. We're gonna mix this for at least 8 to 10 minutes at high speed. We want it very creamy, okay? But it's very important for you to stop your mixer and make sure that all the ingredients are incorporated all together, okay? It's very important, okay? And keep mixed until you like the consistency, okay? After that, we start by adding eggs. Please guys, use your ingredients all at home temperature. I used to say even the flour but I'm sure only joking, but the ingredients have to be always at home temperature. And I like to add the eggs at a medium speed. We don't need to mix eggs for too long. It's just to incorporate it, okay? After that, we add vanilla extract and we mix as well, just to incorporate, not too long. And we start by adding now the flour. I'm using cake flour, or if you are in UK, we call it self-raising flour, okay? But I'm still adding as well some baking powder to this recipe, okay? So here I like I mentioned before, I like to make sure all my ingredients are incorporating very well together. That's why I always use this spatula. Spatula is very important for baking, okay? So I'm gonna start it now by adding flour and the double cream. I can use double cream, I can use buttermilk, or even the milk itself. But the milk only is not gonna be bring us a, it's not gonna bring a lot of moistness to our cake. That's why I give preference for the double cream or even buttermilk, okay? We added that at medium speed, okay, at medium speed, and we only mix that until incorporate. If you want to have a soft moist cake, never over mix your flour, okay? I had already incorporated a flour, a baking powder to my flour, okay? Was about 1 tablespoon of baking powder, but it wasn't too full, okay? You don't need to add a full spoon of baking powder, okay? I normally don't do this step on my baking process anymore because I've been baking for too long now. I just divide the cake into the cake pans and that's it. But because now it's a tutorial, I want to make it like that, so make it easier for you, okay? If you're just a beginner or something, that way it's gonna be making the cake layers all almost the same level, okay? This cake recipe, you can make it in just 2 layers, okay? You're gonna be have a large layers, or you can do it like we are doing it here in 3 cake pans. I'm using 8-inch cake pan, okay? So but if you are using only 2 cake pans, you have to make sure that your cake pans are deep enough, okay? Only My oven was already on. I normally turn my oven on just before I start making the recipe, or before I start adding the eggs to the recipe. I turn the oven on. I have electrical oven. Sometimes people ask that. I have an electric oven, and I normally bake my cake at 170 degrees. If you are making only 3 layers, it's gonna take you about 25 minutes to bake these cakes. After I decide to make cookies and cream cake, of course it is the same recipe, okay? I only need to add Oreo into my cake batter. I use Oreo without the filling, without the cream. That's it. It's the same cake recipe, okay? This is my homemade cake release. If you wanted to know how to make it, just let me know in the comment section, okay? Here we have our cake already done. I normally allow my cake to cool down for a few minutes, at least 10 to 15 minutes inside of the pan before I remove it from the pan, and allow it to cool down completely before any decoration. Here I start to make my buttercream. I use salt butter for my buttercream, okay? My buttercream recipe is the simplest buttercream recipe ever. I use the basic one is 250 grams of butter, soft butter, not margarine, have to be butter. And I mix that very well, okay? And I add 500 grams of icing sugar. Simple. And for that I use 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract and about 2 tablespoons of milk at home temperature, not cold milk at home temperature, okay? And very simple, okay? I already have in my page how to make buttercream, okay? Buttercream is only sounds complicated to make, only for the beginners. I know when I start baking about 7 years ago, 6 7 years ago, it was a nightmare for me to make buttercream, okay? But it's the easiest things ever, okay? So as you can see, I mix the butter very well. The butter have to be mixed until it become very creamy, okay? It's take long, take about 10-15 minutes, okay, at high speed. And we add icing sugar, we mix more, okay? When I finish mixing icing sugar, the milk, and vanilla extract, I like to use a spatula just to, mix it very well and to remove any bubble or anything, okay? But it's very simple buttercream recipe, okay? Now to decorate your cake, you have to allow your cake to cool down completely, okay? That's the first thing, okay? No warm cake decoration, nothing. I decided to remove just the top of my cake. You don't really need this. Just too too complicated sometimes. That's why I remove it, but you don't have to, okay? I don't always do that. I remove it and I started decorating the cake. For this cake, I'm gonna be using strawberry jam to fill the cake, okay? I add some cake syrup for this cake because I was making this cake for my cousin, and she really like the cake when the cake is too wet, but I normally don't use it. When I make this cake for my customers, I never use cake syrup, and I never had anybody complain about my cake, okay? Because the cake itself, it's already moist because I use oil and I use double cream for this cake, Okay, so no need to cake syrup unless you really like your cake when it's too wet, like my cousin. Okay, so to decorate the cake, I add some buttercream, and I like add some more just to do like a barrier, just to add buttercream. Sorry, the strawberry jam to it in the middle of the cake. I repeat the process until the last layer. Okay, because this cake was made the day before and it was in a fresh overnight. Okay, this cake is cold. I normally work with cake when it's cold. That's why I do prefer bake my cake the day before. Okay, I know some people they like to use a frozen cakes, but for me, if my cake is in a fresh overnight, it's perfect. Okay, after adding some buttercream to hold the cake crumbles, I remove the excess and I take it to the fridge for at least 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, I just allow the buttercream to firm, and after that I bring the cake back from the fridge and I finish decorating the cake. Honestly, guys, the decoration in this case here is optional. Okay, my idea here is to bring you cake recipes, okay, step by step, the way how you can make it a home for yourself, for your family, for your friends. Okay, that's the idea. It's not about decoration, it's about the moistness, taste. Okay, it's more about that. Okay, to make the cream cheese frosting for the cookies and cream cake, I use similar way to make buttercream as well. So we have to mix the butter very well. We add icing sugar, we mix until very creamy, and lastly we add cream cheese. Okay, you can use the Philadelphia, you can use any, I use any brand to be honest. Okay, after adding the cream cheese, don't over mix your cream because it's gonna be you're gonna waste it if you over mix it after adding the cream cheese. Okay, I add as well some vanilla extract. For the cream cheese frosting, I don't use salted butter. I use always unsalted butter. Okay, I'm gonna be list the ingredients of the cream cheese frosting on the description box of this video. Okay, I have a ebook anyway with the cake, some cakes recipes that's gonna be out soon. Okay, it's gonna be at least about 6 7 recipes. Okay, I'm not sure when it's gonna be out, but like I mentioned before, the decoration for this tutorial is optional. Okay, I decorate the cookies and creams cakes very similar to the vanilla cake, but I also add as well some Oreos crumbles to it. Okay, both of these cakes were very delicious. The vanilla cake I made for my cousin, and the cookies and creams cake I made it and we ate it. I'm planning to bring you another video as well with red velvet and chocolate cake. Okay, for now that's all. If you have any question, please ask me in the comment section. I'm gonna be very happy to answer. Okay, thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one. Bye.